If you've seen the trailer for Brightburn, you probably got the same vibe that I did. It's a jacked up Superman story. And I'm not talking about Superman 3 where he gets drunk and he stops shaving. So in Brightburn, a couple who is trying to have a kid finds a baby that crash lands in some sort of meteor on their farm. And they raise him as their own, and then when he turns 12, not only does his body start to change because of puberty, but things about him start to change as well, and he begins to discover that he has some kind of power. I really liked this new take on the superhero genre. I mean, it's really more of a sci-fi superhero horror combination where it's all mixed in together, and it felt really new. It felt fresh. And I enjoyed the story too, even though as an audience, we're expected to just kind of accept certain things without any explanation. The movie itself is only 90 minutes long, and so in parts the story did feel a little thin. But it's almost like they did that on purpose so that if the film does well, they have more to tell in a sequel. The boy is played by Jackson Dunn, and you may recognize him from Avengers Endgame. He played young Scott Lang. Now, he does just a really good job at this. I mean, he's dark, he's conflicted, he's moody. I mean, he's basically a 12-year-old, almost 13-year-old teenage boy who's going through all kinds of hormone changes and doesn't really know what to do with all of this stuff that he's feeling. Elizabeth Banks and David Denman play his parents, and they do a really good job, especially because they're very loving and caring and concerned, even though they know that something is not exactly right as the story unfolds. I went in with fairly low expectations, but really high hopes, and that could have played in to how much I enjoyed the film, because I did. I had a blast watching this. It's fun and it's engaging, and I loved the fairly new take on this new genre that they're doing. The story progresses pretty well. I mean, especially because, like I said, it's only 90 minutes long and they don't fully explain everything in that. But in one point, the story, the action, the tension began to ramp up, and I thought we were going towards the climax. And then it just all but stopped. I mean, the pace just went, and then we were like, whoa, and I felt it, and I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. I thought we were going towards the end. And then very shortly after that, it picked right back up again and just took us on this, full steam ahead towards this crazy climax. Now, I think they did that on purpose, and I kind of enjoyed it, even though it was a little bit like abrupt, and it was a little just jarring in the execution while I was watching it. As I thought more about it, I enjoyed that roller coaster ride. I knew that they were putting this kind of into the horror genre, but it has a lot more gore than I would have expected. I'm glad, though, that it has an R rating, because without that, I think they would have had to tame everything way back. Now, there still would have been some tension within the story, and you can make a really good tense story and have it be PG-13, but I think this called for some of the gore that it showed and displayed, because it just fit really well. And no joke, there are times where you're like, oh, and it's not all shown in the trailer. I mean, there is one scene in the trailer that involves eyes, and everybody's like, oh, heck no. At that time, nope. But there's more. Some of the CGI is a bit wonky, but for the most part, it's not too bad. Even at some points, I got like this Chronicle vibe, and that's a good thing. Overall, Brightburn is a fun sci-fi superhero horror that will keep you pretty entertained. The story isn't perfect, but it is enjoyable, and like I said too, at points it's going to make you squirm. There's no sex, but there is nudity, a lot of profanity, and a whole lot of violence. I give Brightburn 4 out of 5 couches. Are there any dark superhero movies that I should check out? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.